Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Judd here with a quick weather update. While the snow has come to an end, boy, winter's come in full force, hasn't it, from one year to the next? And we're going to be tracking more of that snow coming our way as we do extend here, even over a lot of the next 10 days, but more specifically going into the weekend. We've got likely a couple more rounds of, well, may not amount to much with this next round, but we'll still deal with some more snow showers likely in the middle of the week, and then the potential for more accumulating snow going from Friday night into Saturday. So we're going to be tracking more of that snow and certainly a lot more of that cold as well. And, digging into some of the statistics, this could be our coldest stretch of weather that we've had, just dealing with high temperatures below freezing dating back since 2017-18. If you think back to that, that's when we had it was a real cold end to December, beginning of January. And that's how long it's been. We've had that's the last stretch that we've had where we could be dealing with it as long as prolonged cold is what we're going to be dealing with setting up here into the first couple of weeks of January. And our temperatures today certainly reflected that, right? We did not reach freezing. We stayed below freezing, and we saw those high temperatures into the upper 20s. Now we're starting to fall gradually through the 20s, and we're going to be watching as these temperatures will likely be dropping into the upper teens, likely just into it, right? Not a whole lot more cooling from what we're at right now as we do extend into tomorrow morning. Rick and Jay says still snowing in Barnesville. We're going to be tracking some flurries in general here as we do extend to the overnight hours, but that widespread accumulating snow has come to an end. It came to an end even earlier on into this evening. And again, really from here, what we'll watch for is some more of just flurry activity, maybe a snow shower or two. It doesn't amount to much, if anything, from what we have continuing tonight going into tomorrow morning. Ann says, no more snow, Nate. No more. Unfortunately, I can't stop it. It's coming our way again as we go into the week, and we'll have a couple more rounds of it. But at least here near term, again, things start to quiet down. There are a couple things really to watch for at this point going into tomorrow morning, especially for locations long south of I-70 that saw a lot more snow with respect to locations north of I-70. We saw that reflected in snow reports coming in this afternoon, seeing reports up to 7 inches of snow in Cameron, 6 inches New Martinsville, it's right around that as well, looking into 5 inches St. Clairsville. Caldwell had 6.5 inches. We saw a lot of those higher amounts closer to and south of I-70, lower amounts north of I-70 reflected in East Liverpool, New Cumberland. Steubenville was close to around 2.5 inches range. A lot of those locations further north of I-70. So really that gradient played out to where we saw a lot more snow closer to and south of I-70. And that's where we're currently seeing more of those slippery road conditions as well. The road impacts certainly greater into those locations along and south of I-70. So here's a couple things, like I mentioned, to really look forward to at this point. We already saw this into this afternoon and evening as well, that we have blowing and drifting snow, right? So even those locations that have seen crews clear the roads, they can become covered in spots where we're seeing that snow blow over the roads again. So that's something to keep in mind, that even the roads that were cleared earlier on into the day, you can come across some spots on those roads, especially over open fields, where you can come across some snow covered on some of these roads, and crews are going to continue out and finding these slick spots, I think, going throughout the night and again into tomorrow. And we have to watch as temperatures start to drop into the teens. Temperatures start to drop off a little bit more, and the products crews are placing down start to become a little less effective as well. And that's another thing to take into consideration going into tomorrow morning. So, there's several factors here where we still want to use some caution, even on our main roads, going into tomorrow morning as these temperatures drop off a bit more. That lingering slush, even some of this water that lingers on roads, it can refreeze going into tomorrow morning. So again, we have to use some caution into tomorrow as we still see a bit of a breeze continue. It diminishes some late tonight, but for a lot of this stretch, wind gusts upwards of 20-25 miles per hour as we go through tomorrow. So with that bit of a breeze, again, we can have some of this blowing and drifting snow, and we can come across some of the snow covering these roads again in spots, even as we extend through tomorrow. Now, crews don't have to fight any more accumulating snow through tomorrow. Certainly helps, but again, they still could be battling some of this blowing, drifting snow as we go through the stretch as well. But certainly the worst is behind us, right? Things will continue to gradually improve at this point. It's just still, it can be more of a gradual improvement, right? We still have to use some caution, I think, in general, as we go through tonight into tomorrow morning. Patrick says Hancock County schools are closed. There's no snow in Weirton, West Virginia. What does Friday and Saturday look like? We'll get that in just a minute, Joe. We'll get to that in just a minute. Good evening to you as well, Patrick, from Weirton, West Virginia. Good evening to you as well. Thanks for tuning in. Temperatures, wind chills. So when we have this breeze, wind chills will be a factor. And again, like I mentioned, these temperatures falling in the teens also come into play with crews getting out and clearing these roads as well. The temperatures not dropping off much, but when they get to this extent, it starts to become a bit less effective, the product the crews are placing down. And those wind chills will range anywhere from upper single digits to teens. It's going to be a bitterly cold stretch here as we do extend into the daytime tomorrow. And really in general for a lot of this week, it's just going to be bitterly cold with those temperatures as well as wind chills that come into play as we do look ahead. As these for the foreseeable future, these temperatures likely stay below freezing, below 32 degrees. So this is a very cold stretch of weather that we are in. Really not too far from seasonal, but pretty far from what we've had as of recent. If you think back to how just warm a lot of these stretch of our typical colder months have been over the past couple of years, we've not had much of a winter, right? You could say, really. We've been dealing a lot of above normal temperatures the past couple of winters. So it's a bit of a shock to the system when we're dealing with even a bit below normal temperatures here as of recent. And again, this continues here for the foreseeable future, likely as we do extend into the middle of the month. So getting back to what we've been discussing, these road conditions, right? I would still watch. These roads can be slick, especially for locations closer to south of I-70, especially these back roads. And I know a lot of these main roads, we're going to look at it here in just a minute. We're going to go down a lot of these main roads. And yeah, I know a lot of them are looking clear, but even for some of these main roads, you watch for some blowing, drifting snow, maybe watch for some slick spots in general, any of that lingering water, slushing spots. It can refreeze going into tomorrow morning. So there's a couple things to watch for, even on our main roads. I think to sum it up, altogether, again, I think especially along South by 70, but altogether, I'd still watch just for some generally slick roads into tomorrow morning, and then crews can continue to improve those roadways going throughout tomorrow. But these slick spots, I would say you should be watching for some slick spots on our roads really here, even going through the middle of this week. I think you could even extend this not only to the remainder of Tuesday, but even going through Wednesday as well, that we still could have some slick spots on our roads across the area, even going through the middle of this week. As again, I think it's a kind of a gradual process. Once crews can get out and clear a lot of these roads, you still can have some slick spots, even continuing as we go throughout Wednesday. Leslie say we're RV at Brook Hills Park, and we're supposed to get more snow. Or yes, we are, Dominic. We are going to get more snow coming our way. We're going to be watching for it. We'll get to that in just a minute. Right now, we're kind of recapping again what we had for today, where we stand now. But yeah, we're going to dive into that in just a minute. So here's a look at some of the road conditions right now across here. We'll go through this fairly quickly, but you'll see a lot of these roads, again, they're looking mainly clear. There's a look at I-70 into West Virginia. We're looking at the Wheeling area, then extending up to 2 Mile Hill, Highlands area, Dallas Pike, and you'll notice that we're seeing a lot of pavement, right? These are looking mainly clear, these roadways. A lot of these main roads is I-77. We're looking at the I-77 corridor from Tuscarawas County, then looking south to Noble County. And we're seeing a lot of pavement on these pictures, as we're seeing a lot of just mainly these clear roads, right? But even for some of these main roads, again, we'll still want to watch. We could be dealing with some slick spots even on our main roads extending into tomorrow morning. Let's look at I-470. Looking near St. Clairsville area, then extending up towards Bethlehem, Elm Grove, looking at I-470, and another look at I-70 on the Ohio side in Belmont County. Again, looking fairly good, right? These, of course, these are the best you're going to see, right? Looking at our interstates, but some of these side roads could be a bit of a different story, certainly. And again, even some of our state routes, we could still consider fairly main roads. Could certainly have some slick spots. Now, when it comes to snow levels, now this is a Ohio thing issued by local sheriff's offices, but if you're curious where we still stand, for those counties that typically issue road levels, looking at a level 2 for locations along south of I-70, again, just really putting that emphasis on where we saw more snow, roads were a bit worse, right? That's exactly what we're seeing come into play with these road levels. Jefferson County still level 1. This has not changed since this afternoon or even earlier today. Still remaining the same level as of 9 o'clock when I just checked these. And haven't got any updates I've seen posted on any of these local sheriff offices pages. And we're seeing the same road levels. So again, just a testament to still dealing with some of these slick roads continuing into the overnight hours, especially a lot of these side roads, especially as we do extend into tomorrow morning. And we're seeing this reflected as well. We're getting a lot of school closings continuing as well going into tomorrow. So we're seeing it reflected in a couple ways. So that's a lot of where we stand right now. Let's start to jump ahead and look into the future, right? Let's start to look ahead to see that next couple of rounds of snow that we can have coming our way. Well, that next round will be with more of some lake effect snow showers, and we'll see this really take hold. It holds off going through tomorrow. Again, we'll still have some flurries in place, maybe a snow shower too, but we'll really start to see this take hold more so tomorrow night. It'll be later on tomorrow night, likely talking even after that midnight mark. So we start to advance this. Notice after midnight, there's the snow showers that start to develop later on Tuesday night. They'll carry over then as we go into your day Wednesday. And we could see at least a few of these even carry over early Wednesday night before they will likely taper off for the latter part of Wednesday night and into Thursday. That would be the following round of snow showers here, more imminent going into the middle of this week. Now, these likely don't deliver much. We're not talking about much in terms of snow accumulations, but it is possible, right? They're scattered in nature, but for those locations that do pick up some rounds of snow with these snow showers, it is possible to see some light snow accumulations that will likely be more on the order of less than an inch. So again, not a lot, right? But even dealing with some of the additional coatings and spots from these snow showers, it's enough to play another factor into causing more slick spots on our roads into that stretch of starting again late Tuesday night and then continuing even into early Wednesday nights. We're dealing with some of these scattered snow showers during that period. Again, a lot of just very light snow accumulations where we do see some of these snow showers set up during that stretch. Now, the next round of more widespread snow likely will set up Friday night and into Saturday. It's a bit early to talk anything specific, but in terms of anything more widespread that's going to be accumulating across the area, right? Less of a snow shower activity and it's more of a widespread snow. That will be the next system that we're going to be keeping a close eye on that does have the potential to bring more accumulations and more impacts across the area going into Saturday. As it stands now, easily some light accumulations look possible extending into that Saturday period. But it's just a bit too early to really dive into any specifics at this time. I want to wait at least until we get in the middle of this week before we start to dive into that more specifics of this system going into Saturday morning. We saw even this leading up into the system that we had going into today, the small changes that occurred with this very intricate system, right? And it's just a slight southerly track to this system, a bit more dry air, and it altered the forecast even leading into the day of, right? So it's any of these winter forecasts with these systems, it's a very intricate process, and we just have to be a bit more patient, allow at least several more days here before we start to dive into the specifics, But again, we will want to keep an eye on this. So in terms of anything that could bring more widespread wintry impacts to the area, it would be that time period into Saturday. So that's the one we're going to be keeping a closer eye on as we do look ahead. And that would be, again, it would be more Friday night into Saturday. Even the time it could change a bit, but going into Saturday in general, that's where we're going to be watching that next round of the potential for more widespread snow. And this will be with a low pressure system that will be sweeping across from the southeast going into the east coast. This is a bit of the setup that it could look like into future casts. Excuse me. Keep in mind this with a lower resolution model, we're kind of painting with a wide brush, if you will, with this future cast. But here's a bit of what we could be seeing set up going into Saturday. So again, you get the idea of how this is less of a snow shower activity and more of a widespread snow. So that's what we're going to be keeping a close eye on as we do look ahead going into the weekend. That's a bit of what we're going to be watching for. Again, possibility for some snow showers during that stretch of tomorrow night, late tomorrow night, likely after midnight tomorrow night, continuing into early Wednesday night. Again, not much from that. Any snow accumulations we see likely staying less than an inch, some higher amounts, but it'll probably be more confined northeast Ohio, more into the snow belt. But for us here, eastern Ohio, the northern panhandle, For most, if not all of us, we're likely talking less than an inch, right? Not much, not much. More of just some scattered coatings that we'll see from these snow showers that we'll see return going into your Wednesday. And then from there, get a pretty quiet stretch. The main story really after that, going into Friday, will be how cold it gets. We get some clearing with a snowpack in place, and we're going to be watching these temperatures just plummet. It's going to be a bitterly cold. I mean, you could say frigid start to Friday. We'll see those temperatures easily in the single digits. So it's going to be a very, very cold start to your Friday. That'll be the big story here between our rounds of snow, likely. It's just how cold it is Friday morning. And then from there, again, we'll see an increase in cloud cover throughout Friday out ahead of that next system. And that's what we'll be watching for. Again, unfortunately, too early for any details on that yet, but it is something to stay tuned for. And of course, we'll give you the latest here coming up going throughout the week. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Kimberly says, please stay safe and warm. Absolutely. Brian says, appreciate these live updates. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in for this weather update. Again, stay tuned with Jeff and I as we go throughout the week. We'll keep you updated of the latest, of course. Stay tuned with Amanda Verrier as well. All three of us will keep you updated as we go throughout this week and this weekend in general. So make sure to stay tuned for the latest. Thank you all for joining. And Kimberly says it the best to wrap this up. Kimberly, yes, I agree. Everyone stay safe and warm. Have a good night.